Today I'm joined by Tim Quick, Director of Formation Architects. Tim joined the practice in 2001 after working for Foster & Partners on projects including the Mediatek in Nimes and the Millau Viaduct. So Tim, tell me a bit more about Formation Architects. What's your raison d'etre as a practice?
We're very much a London practice, I would say that. We do work outside of London, notably Cambridge, but we get a little bit lost when we go much further than that. So we're very London focused in many ways. We're about 80 people now, which has grown, enormously in the time that I've been here. And we're based now down at the Oval in Kennington. So we've been here for 5 years. So we're confirmed South Londoners here really now. Just in terms of the practice profile, firstly, I'd say we're 45% women, and we have really quite surprisingly, I think to me, that through the pandemic, much to my surprise, we've actually kept numbers up. In fact, we've been able to hire a few new people, so long may that last. I think the other things to say is that most of our work really is in the residential sector. But that covers a very wide spectrum of work. And it really does cover everything from housing association work, private developers, the high-end private developers, and then the super prime stuff as well. So I think we like to say that, when it comes to resi, we sort of understand where to pitch things. We will use the right kind of approach for the right kind of job. So resi is a very wide spectrum, and I would say it's probably I'm going to say 80 or maybe more percent of our work. We also do commercial office work, and we do a lot of hotel work as well, all of which then obviously overlap in some projects. And I think the other thing just to say probably, Peter, is that we're very keen to keep all the skills of design and delivery in the same room. And I think that's terribly important. It's quite old-fashioned, I think, sometimes nowadays, where people will do a set of employers' requirements and then sort of get out as quick as they can. We actually believe that it's important to really know about construction, know about how to build stuff, and maintain that kind of level of experience, because of course it feeds back in at the front end in all kinds of ways about efficiency and what works and what doesn't work. And we've all architects have been in situations where they've had to unravel a thing that just doesn't work because it was drawn that way at planning or whatever. So we're very, very keen to keep all those skills in the room, as I say. Other than that, we're generalists, and we love architecture, and we believe it or not, after whatever it is, 40 years or something, I still love the subject and read about it every night, and very committed, and it's great fun. It's brilliant.
Tell me about some of your key projects.
We're doing a big project down in Brentford with Ballymore right now, and also a couple of big projects with Berkeley Homes. One at the Oval, actually not far from the office, and another in West London too. So working with large scale developers such as that, very organized, very sorted. Also working for a lot of much smaller developers, and going right down to quite small scale developers too. Again, we like that range. And I think that range, by the way, I think is an important thing for our sort of business plan, for one thing, because it means that when one sector's up, another sector's down. So it's always been quite a good way of keeping the home fires burning. But secondly, we do believe that it's important that our people have got quite a lot of latitude actually in what they do. This practice is not about my architecture or anyone's architecture. It's allowing people to do what they're interested in, whatever that might be. So yeah, we do a lot with the smaller developers, but then also a lot of the private high-end stuff is for individual owners, individual private owners. So that's the range. And then the commercial stuff, it's a bit quiet at the moment, the commercial stuff, but signs of life.
Something like Brentford, which is a big site, isn't it? You do master planning as well as home design?
Yes, master planning is also one of our sectors. So in Cambridge, for example, we're actually the master planners for a big site which is called Cambridge North, built around the new Cambridge North station. It's something like 800 built to rent units with a large chunk of office and other uses too. And we're doing some of the individual buildings as well. We're working with other architects on that with Hawkins Brown. We've got Make as one of the other architects, but we're the kind of overall master planners. And that's a very, always an interesting role. It's a bit more like curating an exhibition rather than being a pure designer, because you're trying to sort of create conditions where different people can do their thing, and you can sort of keep everybody sort of generally in the right direction. So that's interesting, yeah. Master planning is a sort of a real speciality, actually, real master planning. And it's much more typically we are in a situation where we are one of a number of architects on a bigger master plan.
What are the sort of key issues you're facing at the moment? Clearly, COVID-19 is one of them, the impact of that. Can we start with how that has had an effect on workload and how the practice operates?
I'm just so proud of the way our people have reacted. It's been incredible. Within days, people were back in their homes, people working on kitchen tables, ironing boards, all sorts of things, and doing great work. And you know, yes, we are less efficient. I mean, I think everybody probably finding that 10, 15, maybe even 20% less efficient. But you know, people have really pulled together, and you know, we've all, like everyone, we found ways of keeping it together and working. Sometimes we do have to come into the office for some reason, but yeah, we're very concerned about the staff and not just their sort of COVID health, but also mental health, that people are adjusted. We keep an eye on people, make sure that things are okay, and that some people have got difficult situations at home, and we just need to keep tabs on that. So, but it's been amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, apart from that, really, Peter, the big issues are the usual ones of the commercial climate right now. You know, much to our pleasure, we've kept our sort of overall amount of work more or less. As I say, we've actually hired a few people in the last few months, but it is a tough climate. And you know, one client sent an email the other day. How about a COVID discount? Which I thought was kind of pretty cheeky, because we could easily say there should be a COVID supplement. But anyway, people are some clients are trying to take advantage of that. But you know, what can you do? We're finding it a tough climate, but inquiries are still there, and you need to perhaps pedal a bit harder. But the inquiries are still there, and we're converting them still. Yeah.
I suppose there are quite a number of other issues happening in the industry at the moment related to fire issues that post Grenfell, changes to the planning system, need to aim for zero carbon. All those sorts of things are both opportunities, but also issues that you have to face up to as a practice as well.
Yeah, quite right. I mean, these changes to the construction regulations as a result, really, of Grenfell, have really had a massive impact. And we were just beginning a major project, which in the construction phase, which was probably one of the first, I would say, really big projects, maybe in London, to actually face up to a lot of these things. And of course, a lot of the regulators, the NHBC, the building control people, they don't actually have the answers. They don't know themselves, and that has caused a huge amount of, I mean, this kind of the blanket regulation that's been brought in to say no combustible material. Obviously, it seems a very good idea, but the industry wasn't ready for it, and it's had huge ramifications and resulted in a lot of soul searching. Probably good in the long run, but it's been difficult to manage and keep that stuff under control. As you said, the changes to the planning are probably a bit further down the line, and I can't help feeling that the intentions are all phenomenal and fantastic. Let's streamline the system, make it more predictable, efficient, but it seems to me that, ultimately that's a political issue. Time and again, we have schemes which get to planning which are perfectly acceptable, even recommended for approval by the officers, and then the politicians really mess things up and are just plain unreasonable, actually, because obviously they're driven by their electors. Now that's the system. But it doesn't make for predictability, and as we know in the housing crisis, that's a problem in terms of delivering housing. Silly little things holding up major applications. So, yeah, that gets in the way. Whether the current suggested changes, the new white paper, will really make a lot of difference. As I say, I think it's all about getting the politicians under control rather than the mechanics of the system.
One of the issues I hear from practitioners quite a lot is that insurance premiums are going through the roof. Are you finding that's an issue?
I think there are modest heights. In our case, it's not, I mean, we've got a very long track record. We haven't suffered as much as I know some have. I mean, some practices are, as I understand it, talking to people, unable even really to do certain kinds of work because they just find themselves without insurance. I mean, I'm very pleased to say we're not in that position. So we still have what we need to do these jobs because, the big boys and girls like Ballymore and Berkeley Homes aren't going to touch you unless you've got that kind of backup.
As you look forward to 2021, which is clearly not going to be the easiest year in the economy and so on, how do you see things? How are you planning for that?
Well, we're pretty optimistic. What else can you do? We've got a great team that's been built up over many years. We're always still looking for good people. In fact, that is one of our problems, is getting good experienced people in London. That is an ongoing problem. But we've built up a really good team over a number of years. So we want to supplement that. We just want to grow in a kind of sensible, sustainable way. I think there are signs, there's enough in the pipeline and there are enough inquiries to reasons to be cheerful, as Ian Drury used to say. And we feel, certainly when we look at and we hear about other practices, and I hope this isn't, famous last words, but I think, I feel pretty positive about what we have. It's as good a situation as we could possibly be in, I do believe. And it's a nice, bright, sunny day here in London, and it feels good. It feels good to be an architect right now.
Great to end on an optimistic note. So, Tim Quick, thank you very much for your time and answering my questions.
Pleasure, and good luck to everybody.